Dr. Tanya Mangle. I'm a community dermatologist here in Antigua and Barbuda.
I am Dr. Ken Jacob, neurologist from Dominica.
I am Dr. Wayne Owen Felician from St. Lucia.
This is Mr. Anatole Wick, orthopedic surgeon in Antigua and Barbuda.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Dr. John Mondesir from the Rendezvous Medical Center in St. Lucia, and you're watching Caribbean Medical TV. Bienvenido y quédate con nosotros.
Here on Caribbean Medical TV, we continue to explore diverse discussions throughout our region. In today's episode, we focus on the unexpected. No one plans for it, so how do we prepare? How can we be better armed to look after our loved ones in an accident or emergency?
I hold a postgraduate diploma in emergency medicine, and I would have been a part of the emergency room for at least 10 years in our hospital here in Antigua and Barbuda. Some of the common illnesses that we would have seen in the emergency room would range from the chronic illnesses, our strokes, our heart attack, and it goes as far as accidental ingestion for our children, toxic substances. Those are very important for us to be aware of because, children at home sometimes have access to toxic products. They're able to get their hands on those things, and once you turn your back, a simple ingestion may become deadly. We know with emergency medicine, every second counts. We do not have time to think about what is going to happen now. We have to act now. We have to act fast for us to have the best possible outcome.
So emergency medicine is really care that's given to patients who have an immediate life-threatening situation, or patients who have an urgent situation. So I think one of the things that families don't often think of in an emergency is to grab any prescription and any pill bottles. Bringing your medical history and bringing your medication history are very, very important for the physician in terms of evaluating what's going on. Patients need to be empowered to carry with them at all times a listing of all the medications they're on, as well as a listing of all medical issues that they have. And you can always ask your primary care physician to help you to create that list. And you just keep it in your wallet, in your purse, so you know which medication is for your blood pressure, which medication is for your sugar, which medication is for your heart condition, and what heart condition that is. That is invaluable information to a physician who may be taking care of you, and you may not be in a state where you can actually speak to the physician or explain, or maybe you're panicked and can't remember. So simply having a list of medications, the reason you're taking the medications and the conditions you're suffering from, fold it up, put it in your wallet and carry it with you whenever you're out and about, invaluable.
So in terms of medical situations taking place outside of the hospital, outside of a medical facility, what is important for persons to understand is that time is of the essence. Time is very important. If we're talking about a wound, if you're feeling excruciating chest pain, time is muscle. If you're realizing that your speech is slurred, time is important. Most illnesses have a time frame. By the time you get to medical attention within that time frame, that can be the biggest difference in if you're going to walk out of that medical facility or if you're not going to walk out of that medical facility. I know sometimes we have a culture of let's wait and see what it is, or if we have chest pain, we have abdominal pain, we think it's gas. No, we have moved away from that myth of everything being gas. We need to seek medical attention. We need to start by when you're not feeling well. Do not wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Invaluable insights, Dr. Charles and Dr. Stevens. Even closer to home, there are mechanisms available that should be stocked in every home.
every household should have a first aid kit. I know when we were growing up, that was something very common. I don't hear much about it anymore, but I would just like to send a message to everyone that we should have a first aid kit where you have things as simple as bandages, an antibiotic ointment, some alcohol, antiseptic, things like those that are so basic that you can get in the pharmacy over the counter, that we should be able to have. Pressure bandages. Sometimes we're in the kitchen, you get a cut, and the first thing you grab for is for a rag to stop the bleeding. But then after that, what happened? So you can go ahead and apply some antiseptic, apply bandages, and then you can proceed for medical attention. If you require stitches, and in persons who have past medical history of diabetes, we know that once they get injuries, they have to be very careful and seek medical attention right away to avoid any future complications of infection. What is one of the most injury that you would encounter? So,
conch shell.
Conch shell.
Cut, yeah.
So you would get a cut. Right.
Salt water cleans the cut, so you just wash it out with some water. You take it.
And you have your gauze that you would apply to the area, right? So of course you would have something like this to put on the area, and then you would have your bandage because compression is important, right? So we know compression.
You don't want it to bleed out.
Right. And we know compression is important. Exactly. Right? And then we know you would compress. Well, we don't have no scissors, so we have to keep going, right? So we just show it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right? No, we're not done now. So we're going to put it on here. Right? And just keep it like this. So then this now would cause a good compression so that we don't have any excessive bleeding. And then from there, you would know that you need to seek medical attention because we're not going to leave an untreated wound, right? So we're going to need antibiotics and your tetanus shot. Your tetanus vaccine that we're supposed to get at least every 10 years, you report to your clinic with your health card to get your tetanus shot along with antibiotics, right? Yeah? Good job.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens, for bringing us to the fishing village of Erlings in Antigua for the First Aid Kit live demonstration. To all our viewers at home, right now is the best time to review your own personal first aid kit. It's a good practice to update this regularly when possible.
Social investment has always been an integral part of the Republic Group's DNA. We firmly believe that we have a role to play in supporting and uniting many across boundaries of space and culture in the pursuit of building stronger, more sustainable societies. By forging alliances with NGOs and championing meaningful outreach initiatives, we continue to make an enduring, positive impact on the people and communities we serve. The Power to Make a Difference program is an extension of the bank's commitment to do good by doing better. Doing good by pledging our support to noble causes, and doing better in the service of others.
Accident and emergencies can happen at any time. The climate crisis also plays a major role in the formation of these risks. Now let's hear how the medical community is currently addressing this issue.
Well, the experts speak about moving from fossil fuels into alternative energy sources. But the effects of climate change on health is seen in, as you mentioned earlier, on the Sahara dust and the impact it has on asthmatics, and they present our emergency rooms. We don't have enough safe spaces that, persons could walk and exercise, which is one of the areas that we in health are speaking to. We talk about a whole of government approach as well. So if you're going to build a community, and that falls under the Ministry of Housing, health should be part of that. So it is not only a health phenomena, but it requires the whole of government, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Planning, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Health, coming together to impact the effects of climate change.
We're trying to help the preparedness and response of our Caribbean population to such hazardous conditions by providing forecasts not just for the next season, not just for the next few days, but also what is going to happen in the next few weeks. And that we do together with our partnership with our regional lead organizations in the different sectors of our economy. I also should mention the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, which leads, of course, on the disaster risk management. And so we are really working with 6 climate-sensitive sectors to be able, at the regional level and also at the national level, to deal with those hazards now, so that we're inherently better prepared to deal with them later.
I never noticed this before, but we are having a lot of cases of heat stroke. Now, the emergency room physicians are the ones who tend to deal with emergencies, but interestingly, with the heat and humidity that has occurred in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm sure over the Caribbean, where higher temperatures, people working in factories, and people are literally getting heat stroke, which was something that we never really paid attention to before. So heat and humidity has to be controlled. We have to start monitoring our work environments. You can't be working in a factory and it's extremely hot, and you can drink as much water as you want, but if it's too hot and it's too humid, it's going to start to affect your work performance and your ability to concentrate.
We are dealing with constant change, whether it's within ourselves or our environments. In today's age, we've also been fortunate to learn about techniques. We've become more aware of when something is wrong and when to act in the emergence of, let's say, a stroke.
The large majority of strokes result from a clot forming in an artery in the brain, and because of the clot formation, part of the brain doesn't get much needed blood supply, which brings oxygen and nutrients, as you know. So really and truly, all a stroke is a failure for blood to reach a part of the brain, and that part of the brain begins to die. And depending on what that part of the brain is responsible for, it will cause certain symptoms, whether it is that your speech is impaired or you cannot move your arm, cannot move your leg, those sorts of symptoms. We're just becoming more aware of the importance as a society of responding immediately when somebody has a stroke. 10 years ago, I would say it was still pretty common for patients to remain at home with stroke-like symptoms, but I think people are becoming more aware that getting that CT scan of the brain to make sure it's not a bleed, those sorts of interventions are important, and the earlier you can do them, the better.
The first thing they think is a little gas, let me get some tea, let me eat something, or let me lie down and sleep it off and see what happens in the morning. It's important to just come to the hospital right away. The quicker you get attention, the less damage you have to the brain and the less likely you are to have severe disability. The more time that's wasted, so to speak, the worse your disability comes at the end, and that's important. We have a little nifty mnemonic that we use to identify strokes, to help patients to identify a stroke, and it's called B FAST. So B stands for balance. If you have problems with balance that comes on suddenly, or coordination, then that could be a sign of stroke. E stands for eyes. So if you have sudden loss of vision in one eye or in one visual field, then that could very well be a stroke. And then FAST is what you'd hear more commonly. So F stands for face. If there's weakness or numbness on one side of the face, it's a droopy face, then that's one. A stands for arm or leg. So if there's numbness or weakness in one arm or leg. S stands for speech. If your speech is slurred, if you can't talk at all, or if you're having problems understanding someone speaking. And then finally, T stands for time. Time is brain. Every minute that passes when you have a stroke, up to 2 million brain cells die. A stroke can be devastating not only for the patient, but the entire family, and as you said, the community, the entire community. So it's important, if you see signs and symptoms of a stroke, to get to the ER and not think you're gonna tough it out, not think you're gonna sleep it off, not think a little bit of ginger tea or some sort of bush tea is going to help. It kind of comes back to prevention. You know, a lot of communities around the Caribbean have been doing health fairs, And I think we're reaching people who normally would not have gone to the doctor, so we can identify individuals with risk factors and they can get established with a physician so that they can, get their health just on par, so to speak. So if you see these signs or symptoms, in yourself or someone, it's important to activate the emergency services, call 911 and come to the hospital immediately.
When one deals with a crisis like this, there is another factor not typically addressed: what happens after. There are modifications that can be made in our daily lifestyles to help protect not just your heart, but overall health and wellness.
In terms of looking at the holistic view of a patient and making sure, even if it's a person who does not have any type of condition, but they're trying to lead that healthy lifestyle, we do encourage you to take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day. God didn't build the earth in a day either. But what we do want you to make sure you understand the importance of being healthy, why you're doing what you're doing, and to take your time. Every day is always a day to be better as a person, as an individual, and even with your diet and nutrition, that can also be a part of you as well. So you do take your time, you do take those little steps, little goals as easy as you can, but the most important thing is that you're doing it, and that is what we want. We want you to start.
Medcorp Limited, Trinidad's first internationally accredited healthcare provider and one of the nation's top healthcare institutions. With 3 strategic campuses across northwest Trinidad, we offer comprehensive healthcare services for all your needs. We're committed to patient-centered quality care, excelling at treating complex medical conditions. Our 24/7 emergency services provide trusted, timely care when you need it most. We've invested in cutting-edge diagnostic and therapeutic technologies, ensuring higher accuracy in imaging and more effective treatments for better outcomes. Our state-of-the-art ICU delivers the highest level of critical care, backed by the latest medical innovations. Life is precious. Choose the best. Choose Medcorp Limited.
At the EximBank, we provide our clients with the financial resources to enable them to increase their foreign exchange earnings. And it is working. Let's look at it from a national, then a regional, and then a global context. Regionally, tourism is back, and back big. The young people, through creativity, innovation, and via various existing international platforms, can create businesses that are geared to the international markets from the get-go. EximBank is the only official export credit agency in Trinidad and Tobago. We are the preferred option for export financing, with a core focus on developing the export potential of Trinidad and Tobago as a mechanism to diversify the economy and increase non-energy foreign exchange earnings. EximBank stands ready to help companies achieve their export ambitions. Let's celebrate success.
I think nutrition is an integral part of managing many of the diseases that we see manifesting here in our region, in the Caribbean, in Grenada, and in the region as a whole. When I got to the US, I actually started towards a degree in physiotherapy, and then I was exposed to nutrition. Back then we didn't have the internet, but we had catalogs. I ate, but I didn't know why I ate. I didn't understand what was good for me. I didn't understand controlling my portions. Additionally, my mom developed heart disease at a very, well, I would say maybe in her 40s, she developed heart disease, and I really didn't understand that either, what should have been done for her. But going into the field of nutrition, I think I was able to educate her. She later became diabetic and was given a 11 by 14 sheet of what she shouldn't eat, and she had to travel to get, specialized care. The doctor actually told her that she was no longer diabetic. She was an excellent patient. So it's not just what I did, but it's her reception of the information that I gave to her and her applying that information. So we can, as a physician, as a nutritionist, as a nurse, we can give the patient all the tools that they need, but we have to be able to get in so that they would accept, they would be able to internalize the information that you're actually giving them and be able to apply it. And that's how we get progress. That's how we're able to help our patients. Because we can talk, we can display, we can do all of that. But until we know that the patient is understanding of the disease, understanding of the disease process, and understanding why we are telling them to do what we are telling them to do, for them to understand why are they taking that medication. Once the patient understands the disease and they understand why they're being treated the way they're being treated, why they're being asked to do what they're being asked to do, I think we would get a lot more positive outcomes, as opposed to just, here's your medication, here's your diet.
We all have a role to play, and it is critical that we take certain steps to empower ourselves and our children. One's lifestyle plays a key role in this ongoing debate of our own health and wellness journey. Let's continue to travel across the region for further insight on other aspects we should be more aware of.
So with the continuous use of alcohol, within the Caribbean, our cane, we love our cane sugar, we get the alcohols, we like it. We have a lot of happy hours every Friday night, Thursday night, we drink a lot. So the continuous use and the high concentrations of alcohol over a period of time. You go in the bars, you see the paracetamol right next to a bottle of alcohol, and that is a poison. Because paracetamol should not be consumed, it should not be taken with alcohol use. So, one very common example is you go out the night before, you get a hangover, you have a headache, you can't wake up next day, and somebody say, just take 2 paracetamol, man, that's a poison. Because the paracetamol, the drug paracetamol, acetaminophen, when it binds with alcohol, is a deadly weapon. It can seriously have impact on your liver, which can develop into liver cirrhosis. And it's very common because you're thinking paracetamol is a simple drug. No drug is simple.
I think if there is one toxic habit that anybody who has needs to get rid of, is smoking. We all have, in the Caribbean, we like to say our vices, who drinks coffee, who drinks alcohol and that sort of thing. Moderation is really the key to everything. But if there's one, people tend to say, the doctor said I should have no coffee. There's hardly a doctor is going to say you should absolutely never have coffee unless there's a very specific contraindication to the use of coffee or even alcohol. The issue is moderation. You cannot be having alcohol every single day, multiple beers or whatever it is. Moderation is the issue, but smoking. Smoking, however, I think every single doctor would say you should not smoke. Reason being, smoking compromises your blood vessels, and for that reason, it really could compromise any organ. Smoking is one of the risk factors for kidney disease, smoking by itself. So if you combine smoking with, say, diabetes or hypertension or obesity, or so many other factors that there are for kidney disease, you're essentially looking at a perfect storm. So our advice absolutely would be stop smoking. It can contribute to kidney disease.
We did a study in Jamaica looking for the burden of obstructive lung disease, where we were trying to estimate the prevalence of a particular lung disease. When you speak to the average Jamaican, smoking on the lungs, lung cancer, that's what they know about. But they know nothing of the other impact of smoking on the lungs, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. They know little about that because everybody who wheezes, the symptoms of COPD are identical to the symptoms of asthma. With asthma, my disease is reversible. With COPD, it's irreversible. So I will not get the relief that I was hoping to achieve as I would with asthma. And unfortunately, the smoking comes as we continue the habit over the years. Smoking has multi-systemic effects. So not only have I damaged my lungs, limited my quality of life, need oxygen at home, but I also have the heart disease and the circulation problems which come as a result of smoking on the other organs. So it becomes a multi-systemic problem.
If you look on the American Heart Association
website, you will find the Life's Essentials, and it gives you a number of different areas where you can focus to live healthier, from its diet to exercise regimen to just things like sleep, which we take for granted. We do not realize how important sleep is. We as adults should have at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep daily. And adequate sleep decreases cardiovascular disease. It decreases your blood pressure. Sleep is restorative, and it helps to prevent inflammatory processes in your blood vessels. So during a night of sleep, we restore, we rejuvenate, we fix cells that are damaged, including our blood vessels and the lining. So for people who work a lot of night shifts, you know,
sitting down,
sedentary lifestyles, all of these are not in favor of a healthy cardiovascular system.
One of the realities we have to face, right? The world is evolving, it's not static. And there are many circumstances that would lead to a change in certain things in the community. So for example, the cost of living, right? Some is attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, and in our present dispensation, the war in Ukraine. As a result, we have a rise in the cost of living. It is a challenge for families. It's a challenge for households. It's a challenge for the Caribbean as a whole. But what is important, we have to look at alternative means, yes, of survival. We emphasize family life, family values. Of course, worship in the home is important. So families must take time to rise in the morning to thank God for life and to ask for the strength to face the challenges of the day. It is said in a very, very popular hymn, the family that prays together stays together. So I believe we ought to live by that tenet. I believe that prayer is important, the spiritual aspect of family life, because God ordained and set apart the family. What I would like to say to our Caribbean basin, we are living in times where we face challenges that come our way we have not prepared for. Sometimes we are not aware these challenges will appear, but they are here. What is important is all of us working together. From the family, there must be that support network. In terms of communities, the support network. In terms of individual nations, support network. However, as a Caribbean, we must be prepared. Our political leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, there is a need for Caribbean integration. There is a need for us to come together and use the resources we have as a basin to support each other. There is a need for us to come together and unite. And also we must seek to put the island, the big island, small island thing behind us. Remember, our foreparents, yes, fought for certain rights, certain privileges. Now we are enjoying it. They expect us to take these rights and privileges now, to educate, to inculcate, yes, to motivate our generations presently and those to come.
Thank you, Reverend Mark, for your words of wisdom. And to our many friends throughout the region, thank you for viewing Caribbean Medical TV.